talking about space.
4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
No, not outer space. I'm talking about the element of art space. You know, space in art, like if I'm up close to you, or if I'm over here, a little farther away, closer to the wall. You know, space, like how much space is in between you and I. Now, in our artwork, that's kind of hard to create. I mean, come on, how do I show in art on a flat piece of paper that there is space from here to here? That's quite a problem. And so today we're going to talk in art about how to show on a flat piece of paper that there is space, that there is something here and something here, and this is in front and this is behind. That is space. Oh, that's surprising. I always thought when people said space they were talking about outer space, galactic star, galaxy invaders. No, sorry. Sometimes they're just talking about physical space, like how many people could stand between me and the camera? Maybe 2? The other thing we're going to talk about is form, which kind of, in a way, form and space go hand in hand, because form is your shape showing space, if that makes sense. It shows that it's going back. Like, let me show you an example, okay? So, if I hold this up close and it's flat, it just looks like what shape?
A square.
A square. But when I hold it a little farther away, and then I turn it a little bit, now it's a cube. A cube. So that is a form. See, a square is the shape, but then when you make it kind of like 3-dimensional and you turn it into a form, then it becomes a cube. Square, cube, square, cube. So the way that it's going to be a cube is it's showing the space, that this is closer to you than this over here. That's a little further away. This point is closer to you. This point is farther away. This point is closer to you. This point is a little far away. So the shape becomes a form when space is added. Is your mind blown yet? I hope not. So hopefully in today's art project, I'm going to be able to explain this a little bit more. We're going to be adding to our art book. So already we have covered the elements of art of color, and we've also talked about line and shape. So now we're going to talk about space and form. There are 7 elements of art. So right now, today, by the end of today, we would have reviewed 5 of the 7 elements. So grab your art book and grab your art supplies and let's get creating.
For this art project, you will need the PDF listed in the description below. The pages say lines are also used to show space, like from here to there. And then there's a second page that says, and lines help to show how a shape can turn into a form. If you don't have a printer, just write these things out. We will also need our little art book from our previous episode, the glue stick, a pair of scissors, something to color with, and then lastly we will need a pencil and a ruler. Our little book that we have created thus far says, I learned there are 3 primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. And when those colors mix, there are 3 secondary colors. On the next page it says, I learned there are lots of lines. And these lines often start our artwork. Lines are used to create shapes like these. And then we are going to start on the back of that page. So grab your paper that says lines are often used to show space, like from here to there. And we're going to work on cutting this out, cutting off that dotted line. Remember, you cut off the pieces. Don't try to keep it in one big section hanging off of what you're cutting. Cut off pieces and put it to the side on a trash pile. That'll keep your cutting neater. Cut something apart and then start cutting on it. These are all just different tips to keep your cutting neater. Next, we grab a piece of scrap paper and the glue and put glue all over the back and then press it down with all of these different pieces of paper that we just cut out. Next, I'm going to draw some lines to create the space. So I want 2 lines to come out kind of like a V out from here to, and then get wider down by there. You can use a ruler or you don't have to use a ruler, you can just draw these lines. So you can see how drawing those 2 lines that are wider down towards the bottom and skinnier up towards the words like from here to, that already is creating what looks like space, like a road that is going back into our paper. Another way to use lines to show that something is far away is to make that something really small compared to something else that is close up. So I just drew a rectangle with a triangle on top that is smaller, and I'm drawing a larger rectangle with a larger triangle on top that is bigger. And if you haven't guessed it already, the first one's going to be a house that is supposed to be closer to us, and the second one is a house that is farther away. So we are creating this idea of space, that there's space between the 2 houses. Now, of course, you can add details to these houses as you would like. I'm adding a few windows and doors here and there, and you don't even have to put houses on your paper if you don't want to. Another thing that can show distance is a tree. So I'm drawing a little pine tree over here next to that house, or like across from it, and then a larger pine tree that is across from my bigger house. And you can see that the smaller pine tree looks like it's farther away, and the bigger pine tree looks like it's closer. You could draw a sun, you could draw a horizon line, where the sky meets the ground. You could draw, other things. You could draw yourself and then somebody else far away, that sort of thing. Like I said, have your own fun, creative spirit here. So whatever you want to add to this, if you want to add more details to this page, you can. If you want less details, like just the little road that we drew, then that's all you really need. And it's up to you. I want to see you having fun and being creative. I'm going to kick it into my super high speed mode while I'm coloring to give you the most creative time that you can have, and I don't want to take up your creative time with my coloring. Now finished with the space page, so we can slide that into our book, and you can see it's on the back of the shapes page, and then we turn it, and now we are ready for our form page. So grab your scissors. Alright, we're going to quickly cut that page out and glue it down to our book, and it says, "And lines help to show how a shape can turn into a form." So that is what we are going to go over next. I am going to grab a pen because I want to decorate my forms to be like we did those earlier dots with color. And I got the other extra pages out of the way so I don't mess them up at all. Now, to draw a form, you could use a ruler. I'm just going to draw it without a ruler. And you draw a rectangle or a square. And then you draw back at an angle from those 3 corners there, at an angle. Then you connect those lines you just drew back, and now you have a cube instead of just a square. So I'm going to decorate that cube with a little happy face like we did in our color video. And then I'm going to give him a little arm waving like we did in that color video. And some little feet. And a little hat to go on top. So cute. Alright, so if that form was hard for you, I can do it again. So again, you just draw a box or a rectangle or square, lines going back at an angle, and then connect those lines together. And then your face on it, not your face, but the face you draw. And a little hat, and a happy face, a little wave, and some feet. Alright, if you have not gotten the way to draw these squares into squares or rectangles into a cube, you first draw the square or rectangle, draw 3 lines going back at an angle, connect those lines together, and then we work on the happy face and the hands, the legs, and the hat. Now I will draw 2 more of these cubes for you, so if you still haven't gotten it, that's okay. And you do not have to draw 5 cubes. I'm just drawing them over and over again, hopefully to help you out. If you only want to draw one big one, or just a couple, or whatever, it's up to you how many of these cubes you draw. To describe this again, draw a square. 3 lines going back, and then connect those 3 lines, and you have a cube. So it's a square that turned into a 3-dimensional object on our flat paper, so that it looks like you're drawing some space onto our paper. Then you can complete those however you like with arms, legs, hats, and happy faces. I'll show you one more time the square, and then I'm going to actually put the face on this one first. But then you pick 3 of the corners of your square to connect those lines that are going back at an angle. 1, 2, 3, and then connect those all together. So if you're not getting it and it seems really difficult, that's okay. This is all just, a learning process, and drawing is just like anything else. The more you draw, the better you get. The more practice you have, the better you will get. And all of you know, if you play a sport, you have to practice a ton, or if you play a musical instrument, you have to practice a ton, and drawing is the exact same way. You have to practice a ton. Now I am going to color my happy little people, my box cubey people. And so I'm going to kick it into the high-speed mode again. Okay, so that finishes our form page. So we can grab the rest of our book and just kind of go through and see what we have. Let me get that extra piece of paper that I used to protect my desk out of the way. So you open up your book to where there's the last page drawn, and then you slide these in. And it should say, I have learned there are 3 primary colors, and when those colors mix, there are 3 secondary colors. I learned there are lots of lines, and these lines often start our artwork. Lines are used to create shapes like these. And then what we just did today, lines are also used to show space, like from here to there. And lines help to show how a shape can turn into a form. So I hope you enjoyed making today's art book. Next time we'll do these next 2 pages, and then that will conclude our elements of art going through our art book.